Hi, my name is Carcass8, and I love video games. I am not a content creator or reviewer. I am just some guy who played a lot of video games this year, and I want to tell you about them. This all started in January 2024 when I made a post on my Threads profile with gaming goals I had. You see, I like making lists and spreadsheets, and I'm really fascinated with this data. So, after putting literally hundreds of hours into playing Pokemon, I wanted to dedicate specific time to all of the other games I owned. This is what my original post said. Initial gaming goals for 2024. 1. Finish Pokémon Sun. 2. Have my childhood Charizard collect the remaining ribbons from Gen 7 before moving it up to the Switch era. 3. Go back to completing my living decks, where Pokemon are caught in the original game they debuted in, currently on Gen 3. 4. Finish Zelda games, Oracle of Seasons and Minish Cap. 5. Start Zelda games I haven't played yet, NSO first, then Switch era. 6. Other games, Night in the Woods, Tunic, Mendel Palace, Pulseman, Little Town Hero. So, 2 questions I like to answer over the course of this video are 1. How much of those goals did I manage to accomplish? And 2. What was it like to document the whole process? In this video, I'm going to summarize each month, then talk about some of the games I played during that month. I'll be keeping a tally and making a graphic along the way. Plus, there are a few other things, but I'd rather just get started. So, let's begin with January. The beginning of the year was always going to be when I have the most time on my hands. So it's unsurprising just how many games we're going to list right off the bat. Let's take a look. In January, here are the games I played or completed. We have Mendel Palace, followed by Yoshi, Night in the Woods, and Demon Tower. Then, The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap, The Swords of Ditto Mormo's Curse, and Pokémon Scarlet The Hidden Treasure of Area 0 Epilogue. And finally, I finished off the month with The Walking Dead Season 2. As you can see, I also stated a few other games that I didn't complete or was still playing after January. These games include Earthbound Beginnings, followed by Pulseman, Little Town Hero, and Giga Wrecker Alt. Then Monster Crown, Tunic, and Pokémon Violet, and last but not least, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. So here is a quick look at the chart that I'm going to be making along the way. You can see it's already pretty filled out with the games just in January alone. I have a category for the games I complete or played. Then there are the games I am still playing or left incomplete. And there are some other games which I'll bring up when we get to that point. I'll also be showing you all of the shiny Pokemon I caught in each month. This is going to sound silly, but this is actually a reasonable amount of shinies, especially considering these are mostly from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There's some Pokemon Go and Pokemon Sleep, but just think back when you were 12 and you were just catching shiny Pokemon for the first time. This would be a lot of shinies. For me, I'm old. This is not that many shinies. You are going to see. Just watch. So let's talk about Mendel Palace first. This is a Game Freak game that you can play on the Namco Museum's archives on the Nintendo Switch. This game is awesome. This game predates Pokemon, and it's sort of the first little project from Game Freak. This game is so weird. You have these multiple different bosses. You gotta play through the levels, and while you're doing so, you can flip the tiles to push the guys against the wall to defeat them. Each of the guys on a different level will have a unique different way they can attack or navigate around the map. You are pretty much just playing on whatever you can see on the board, on the screen, until you move on to the next level and there's a new boss or a new enemy with new hazards on the floor as well. I'm going to be so honest, I could not beat this game without using the rewind feature. I want to be able to play it without using the rewind feature. Maybe someday I'll be able to beat it normally, but honestly, I'm not that good at video games. That being said, this game's awesome. I kind of wish I could have a portable version, more portable than the Nintendo Switch. But this game's awesome. You're probably going to notice every game I play, I love, so don't be surprised if I say I love this game to literally every single game ever in the world. The next game I played was Yoshi, also by Game Freak. I love this game. This game is so cool in a different way. You can see the different monsters usually that you see in the Mario universe fall in certain patterns, and you just gotta match them with something that's already on the board. There's two different game types. There's type A and type B. Type A is kind of like the endless. You just keep going until it's too fast and you lose. I don't mind type A. Type A is fine. A game where you can keep going forever, it's fine. I don't particularly... It's not my favorite. Compared to type B, where if you manage to clear your entire screen, you kind of move up another level, which I think is way more fun. Say you clear the screen once, the next time around, when you start fresh, you get that little congratulations screen, and then the next time around, you're going to start with one bar completely full already, like as if there were already 4 things on your screen, which you got to try to clear. And then it gets to the point where if you progress enough, every single time you clear the screen, you're going to start off like with your screen basically already full, and you got to like rush to clear as much as possible in order to keep playing. So type B is not intended to go on forever as much as type A. You go on until the game goes fast, and that's it. Type B, you have junk that you need to clear. Type B is fun. I love this game. This game is cool. I can see why maybe people might not know it as well as Tetris, for example, but I've actually been playing Yoshi a lot throughout the year, and I will go over that when we get to it. Night in the Woods is probably the coolest game ever. It's such a wonderful story. I had this game on Steam like a long time ago, and I never got around to playing it. So it's one of those games that was just waiting to be played in my library the whole time. So when it came to choosing which games I wanted to play this year, this one was like one of the ones I was thinking of, that like I gotta play that game. This game is gorgeous. It is so beautiful, and all of the characters are incredible. I love this cast so much. I love the dialogue, I love the story, and you know, just the like variety in the screenshots that I have here. There's so much to do in this game. There are so many little mysteries, and I know 100% I didn't do everything, but this is really a game that you're intended to play multiple times. It's got like a little rhythm section, which I love. It genuinely feels like a game with a bunch of other little games that you play every now and then while you're progressing along through the story. But speaking of games that have games in them, Demon Tower is a game that you can play in Night in the Woods, and as a completely separate game, I'm considering it its own unique game. This game's awesome. You are essentially this little character, and you have a certain amount of life and certain amount of dash ability that you can build up over time once you beat levels and stuff like that. You gotta try to find a key and get to the boss room as quick as possible to progress, but it's really recommended that you knock out specific monsters before you get to the boss. Otherwise, when you get to the boss, literally to the door to get to the boss, you're going to be like rushed by all of these enemies that you did not kill, which I think is a really super cool mechanic. This is 100% Night in the Woods plus Demon Tower plus other stuff, which I'll talk about momentarily. This is a game I'm probably going to want to revisit like every October from now on. This game is so good. If you haven't already played it, I would play it 100%. Next, we have The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. This is a game I had as a kid, and I just really wanted to play again, especially since they made it available for the Nintendo Switch Online service. This game is just awesome. It's a fun little Zelda game. This is the one of two Zelda games I had as a kid. And because you can use the rewind feature, that made it really, really super duper easy to do all the Kinstone fusions and getting all the Karlov figurines, which I had never done before, but it felt really good just to 100% totally, completely do everything in a game that you just absolutely love. I appreciate the story, and I love like the emphasis on how these like common enemies can become like big dungeon bosses when you're super tiny. It is so creative. I love it. I love that big Goron guy. Like, everything is awesome about this game. I love it. Next, the Swords of Ditto Mormo's Curse. This is a game I was super duper excited to play. I believe it's James Turner, who was the art director for Pokemon Sword and Shield, had a huge hand in making this game. You can tell this game looks amazing. This is a beautiful, beautiful game, and it's so funny too. This is one of those games where it's like, what does it mean to really beat a game? I'm not going to go into it here, but as a roguelike or roguelite, I forget which one, you are kind of dropped into a map. You have a certain amount of days before you can go fight Mormo, and during that time you can collect power-ups, get little stickers so you have different abilities and stuff like that. All of the characters in the world are really funny. They say really wacky things, and they're, along with the sticker power-up system, there's also a leveling up system. So at a certain point, like, not every single run is going to be exactly the same. If you die, you'd have to start over. If you win, you'll just be dropped off again 100 years in the future, where Mormo has returned and you have to defeat him once again. Some people don't like how, like, once you run through it a few times, it feels like you've already played the whole game. But I'm like, I don't know. I played the same games over and over as a kid. I don't know how many times I replayed Oracle of Ages or Pokemon Gold, but in a way, like, having a game that's intended to be played over and over and over and over again, where you can like change things here and there, change your focus a little bit, that's awesome. Especially when this is like, this feels like you're playing a newer The Legend of Zelda game with more modern mechanics, more modern customization. So I love it. I'm gonna say that for every single game. I'm so sorry. I love this game so much. Next, we have the Pokemon Scarlet, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero Epilogue. This is the DLC that came out. You can say what you want about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Just so you know, I love the game when it came out in the first place. But I feel like the DLC really, really like made the game all the more worthwhile for me. Especially this epilogue. Like, this is the like part 3 to the DLC. I cannot tell you how much this DLC was made for me. When they were working on this one, they were like, yeah, this one's for Carlos. Because one, I love the like horror movie vibe that happens in this DLC. There's kind of creepy stuff going on, and you're like, ooh, what's going on? There's a little bit of a mystery. 2, I love the battle music for this DLC. It is the single catchiest thing I've ever heard in my life. And 3, it's essentially, a zombie movie. It's a zombie movie, right? This is essentially a Pokemon zombie movie, like a zombie Pokemon, yeah. And it is so funny. I love Kieran so much. I think Kieran is a wonderful character, incredibly flawed. But the humor comes out so much. Oh my god. When I played this in January, I genuinely thought, like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I know this is not going to be everybody's thing, but this is like 5,000% my thing. It was a perfect way to wrap up this wonderful, wonderful game. I hope the next Pokemon games to come after this just continue building in this direction, because my god, this was amazing. I would want exactly this again if it came to it. So the last game I beat in January is The Walking Dead Season 2. I didn't take screenshots while I was playing it, mostly because I started playing it in 2023. But I finished the last episode this time around, and when I did so, I wasn't really thinking about, like, the screenshots that I take were going to be part of a video or anything like that. No, I was just taking screenshots for me. And since I had already played The Walking Dead Season 2 on Steam a long time ago, and this was to just replay the game again, I just didn't think... You can tell after this month I took screenshots of everything. So this is unique in this video. But the main difference, this time I played when, the first time that I played, at the end, I chose to go with Jane. And part of the reason why I did so, seeing Kenny spiral so much, I felt bad for the guy, and I thought, I don't want that guy to suffer anymore. And then when I started playing Season 3, just like... What happens from choosing Jane, it made me so angry that when I played this time around, I was like, there is no way I'm gonna go with Jane. It made me so upset. And now I'm so sad because I know what happens to Kenny. So January had a huge number of games overall, but it was only just the beginning. So let's take a look at February next. In February, here are the games I played or completed. First, I reached the credits for Little Town Hero, followed by both companion games that come with Night in the Woods, which are Longest Night and Lost Constellation. And then I beat Pulseman. When it comes to games that I'm still playing, you can see Giga Record Alt is still listed. However, I'm going to limit the number of times I bring up games multiple times. I'll only mention them again when I consider them complete or have something new to say about them. Either way, in February, I also started but did not complete The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons, Pocket Card Jockey Ride On, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. So let's take a look at how our graphic looks now. It's... This is like half of it feels like, but we're going to see how this continues to develop over the year. For now, let's take a look at our shiny Pokemon. Ooh, look at that, Shundo, Chansey. You got that shiny Jirachi. Ooh, fancy. This is still not a lot of shinies. You guys are going to see how wacky it gets later in the year. All right, Little Town Hero. I love this game. This is I had to add this to like my top 10 games like immediately, just because this game is so right up my alley. And I know this game's like got some mixed reviews. I don't know how many of those like poor reviews were from when the game first launched, but this is a Game Freak game. I am super duper biased. But this story is so wonderful. There are like a ton of little storylines that are happening kind of at the same time surrounding this mystery for why suddenly these huge monsters are attacking this quiet little town. And I love, man, Game Freak is so good at creating characters, man. The protagonist has so much personality. And the rival has so much personality. Like the whole point of this game is, or the whole story, like ends in this like beautiful note, where the protagonist kind of confesses his love for like one of the neighbor girls. But I gotta tell you, there is something about Axe and Matt Talk that I'm like, you guys can only be rivals like for so much here. You kind of, I think there's something more. And I know I'm reading into it from, that's just my perspective. I know there's The text of the game says nothing about that directly. But that's not even talking about like the coolest thing about this game. This is like the battle system in this game is so unique. It's essentially a board game where you have these bubbles that appear over your head. You have the yellow ones, which are defensive. You're able to use them multiple times. Then you have the offense ones, which you're only able to use once per turn. You have the blue ones, which are like special ones that can power things up, or they can attack all of your opponent's bubbles. Either way, your goal every single turn is to try to eliminate all of the enemy's bubbles. Some of them have special abilities, so that, like, for example, there's the one that switches the one that your bubble that you selected, your idea as they call it in the game, or your Dazit, whatever. It's weird. It is so weird. If you can clear all of the enemies Dazits or bubbles or whatever they're called, I think they're Dazits, you can go ahead and attack directly. There are 3 hearts at the bottom. Sometimes they have like a little shield that you got to clear as well. In addition to that, after every turn, you essentially like roll a dice or to try to figure out which spot on the map you move to. Some of those maps have special like environmental abilities or characters who are standing there that can help you out with special little abilities as well. And at the end of the day, you are just trying to defeat the monster with your bubbles. There's like resource management to try to keep all of your bubbles, make sure your bubbles don't pop. You don't want to get hurt, but also there's a strategy later on where if you do lose a heart, you regain some of your ideas, which you can then turn into the Dazits, the bubbles. It is weird. It is so weird, but it is like the exact kind of weird for me. Like I was doing so bad at first, but as soon as I got it, I got it. Like I knew how to do it. I knew how to plan. I was playing on like the hard mode. There were times where I just kept losing over and over again, and it was making me lose my mind. But it is so satisfying as soon as you see like the path to victory, as soon as you can like identify the string that like gets you to the end screen. And my god, did I mention the story? The story is wonderful. Like I don't think we are like winning any awards here, but for all intents and purposes, I love this game so much. It deserves way better than those mixed reviews. Like I will be the #1 Little Town Hero like super fan. This game is awesome. Like I want Game Freak to continue making Pokemon games, of course, but if these are the kind of games we get when it's not Pokemon, I would rather get this forever. So next we have The Longest Night and The Lost Constellation. These are both supplementary games to The Night in the Woods. These games, they happened during the development of Night in the Woods. There's a little screen that says what order things happened in. I kind of forgot what order they were in, but I played them after playing Night in the Woods. I didn't even really know these existed. And playing them after is actually, for me, it was the right choice, because it's like getting to hang out and spend more time with the characters after having experienced the main story with them already was like all the more worthwhile. I loved this. This was awesome. I'm so glad this exists. It is essentially just them like sitting around talking about the constellations, but honestly, like you can just give me more time of all of these characters talking to each other forever, and I never do anything, and I would love that. That would be great. And not only that, but the Lost Constellation game as well. This one is more like of an actual game. It's like an additional little story where you're not playing as May, the main character of Night in the Woods. You see some dialogue between her and her grandfather, but it's mostly the story, like this story that happened allegedly a long time ago. And it's also like, it's so incredible. Like, my god, This game is so good. It is so good. Like, oh my god. Night in the Woods also made it to my top 10 games like instantly. I'm gonna be thinking about this game for a long time. And last but not least, there's Pulseman. Man, this game is just incredible. This game is so much fun. This was a Game Freak Sega game, and it looks absolutely incredible. In fact, some of the stages, there is so much detail that it is like overwhelming. And even like how overwhelming it is, it still looks amazing. You know, I don't tend to play these kinds of games a lot. When I started playing Giga Wrecker Alt, I kind of like didn't really like, I wasn't getting into it. I thought that the controls were too floaty. But once I played Pulseman, like I went back, I played this one and I got like really into it. I started to get it. You know, and this is also a game where I did use a little bit of the rewind feature. You know, in fact, I probably used a lot. I don't really remember. Knowing me, I probably used the rewind feature a whole bunch. Just because I'm not very I'm not good at video games. I'm not good at platforming video games. I'm just not good at video games. But this game's a load of fun. It is so awesome. It is so gorgeous. And I also love when games have a little video game inside of them. It is, oh my god. I'm not saying anything substantial in this video. If you got this far, yep, sorry. I'm just gonna say I love video games. That's all I could really say. This playing these old games is so worthwhile. I was so excited because I was like, you know, there are a lot of games I know that Game Freak has made, but I have never played them. So this was the year where I really gave a lot of them a chance. I still have more to go. I have a lot of the Japanese ones as well. Like some games I don't know how I'm ever gonna really play them. But of the ones I did manage to play this year, I was impressed by every single one. They were so good. I don't know how anyone really can avoid them or just say that they're not worth playing. These Game Freak games are awesome. In fact, I would argue you guys are missing out if you only ever just play Pokemon. Anyway. So let's keep marching on to the next month. In March, here are the games I played or completed. First, I started off with Giga Wrecker Alt, then Pokémon Sun, and The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. Additionally, I played Pocket Card Jockey right on until I retired my first horse. I have some thoughts and opinions on what it truly means to beat a game, especially when some of the games are intended to be played for a few minutes at a time or to be played forever. But now it's not really time for that discussion. When it comes to the games I was still playing after March, or started but did not complete, there's The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past and Baldur's Gate 3. So we continue to fill out our chart. The games I played is looking a little full there, I gotta say. But we've got quite a bit to go in terms of the other ones, so let's see how we progress. Also, you know, not as many shinies this time around, but, you know, like I said, as a kid, I still would have thought this many would have been a lot. So let's take a look at Giga Wrecker Alt. In retrospect, now that I have beat the game, this game is incredible. You know, I like I said, I don't play very many puzzle platformers. They're not usually the kind of games I play. But once I beat one of them, once I finished Pulseman, this game made way more sense. Like I started to really understand what they were going for. And I still kind of think the controls feel a little floaty. I still really think that. But and some of the puzzles were like so good, it felt really satisfying to complete them. That being said, some of them are like, you know, I couldn't do it unless I looked up how to do it. And it's funny, when I looked at other people completing some of the maps that I struggle with, like in the process of finding that map, I found out there were some maps where I solved the puzzle in a completely different way, and I love when that happens. I love when a puzzle doesn't have just one way to solve it, or it's possible just to cheese your way through it. It's one of my favorite things about puzzle games. even if I don't play them very often. But my favorite thing, again, you know, this is a unique Game Freak thing. What really got me invested was the story. Once I got like into the story, try to see what was happening, that's when I was hooked. You can see most of my screenshots aren't even of the puzzles. It's of like the environment, which is beautiful, and also like the story of things going on. This game's got a like whole map system. I guess theoretically you can skip some of the maps. You didn't really have to do everything. I did everything. Level ups, I'm not sure like how many of those like unlockables are really super duper necessary, but I went ahead, I found all of them, or looked up where to find some of them once I lost my mind. So you have, you know, you have the puzzles, the platforming to get to unlocking everything to get to the next boss, and then you have the boss battles themselves, and they were so much fun. Like some of them were easy and fun at the same time, right? Like you're like, wow, I wish I could play that level like over and over again because it was so much fun. But then there were some battles where I'm like, this is like so hard, like I can't do it. This is not within my skills. And despite being so hard, I thought they were a lot of fun anyway. This game is just wonderful, man. Game Freak just keeps on giving. I don't know what else to say. People can hate on Game Freak all they want. You know, there's certainly criticisms, just like there is for everything else in the world. But I know whenever I see Game Freak's going to be releasing something, I know I'm probably going to like it. It's the kind of thing where I know that like I'm invested in every game that they release. I think positively more than negatively most of the time. I know there's going to be something to like in every single Game Freak entry. So, speaking of another Game Freak game, we have Pocket Card Jockey. This is one of those games where I'm really like, what does it mean to beat a game? You know, I already said that about the Swords of Ditto. This game, this is solitaire but horse racing. And you can get a horse, race it as much as you want, but once you start like losing over and over, then it's time to retire that horse. And you know, I'm not going to admit that I'm good at this game. I'm okay at the solitaire. There's different levels of solitaire, and sometimes I just can't clear my board, which sets me up in such a bad position whenever I got to do the horse racing part, which I'm gonna be honest, I still don't really understand. Overall, and again, I love the dialogue. The dialogue is so it's solitaire and horses. Like how much dialogue is there gonna be? There's so much funny dialogue. This has me like, all right, does Game Freak understand my type of humor? Or do they create my humor? That's what I want to know. Like, me and Game Freak, we are like such a perfect match. Like, them as a game developer, me as a game enjoyer. Like, they're just the right type of people making games for me. I'm just the type of right person playing these games. Like, I don't know what else to say, man. This game's funny. This game is a whole lot of fun. And I still revisit it plenty. Like, it's not a game that you really truly actually beat. That's why I struggled so much being like games that I completed or games that I played. And this game is not expensive. This is worth playing a few minutes as often or as not often as you like. All right, Pokémon Sun. You know, this game kind of made me sad when I beat it. Like, I really like put it off for a long time. I had this game for like for a long time. That I just had it. I started it. I played a little bit. That I stopped. That it was the same with Pokemon X and Y last year. But part of the reason why I really put it off for so long is because it was the last new Pokemon region that I hadn't beat. You know, I have a whole, like, maybe I'll go into it more in another video, but like, as a kid I played Pokemon Gold and Fire Red, Soul Silver, and Diamond. Like, and after, like, as soon as I got to high school I played a little bit, then I really kind of stopped. So those 4 games were like my game. And it wasn't until Pokemon Go where I really started playing Pokemon again. Pokemon Go was why I bought a Switch in the first place. So I can play Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And then once I like really got into the groove of it and Pokemon Go started releasing Pokemon that I had like never seen before, it really was a Switch seller. That's, obviously that was the point. It really was a Switch seller. But then I went back and I played the games that I did miss, and every single one was so excellent. Like I kind of felt bad. Like why did I let myself miss out on those games? But rather than like just be upset about the past, I really tried focusing on, well, I get to experience them now. And not only that, but there are the like sequels or like part 3s that I still get to play. I haven't played Black 2 White 2 yet, for example. This is just regular Pokemon Sun. I haven't beat Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon yet. And part of the reason I kind of stopped playing is just the ribbons for that Charizard, man. They're so hard. They're so hard. I thought I had strategies. I looked up like best way to beat like the battle tree and stuff like that. I am not good at video games. Even my favorite video game franchise, I'm not good at it. And everyone's got their own opinions about like what's the best Pokemon game, what's the worst one, or this or that. They're all fun. I don't know what people are talking about, man. You can have your preferences, but I don't think there's any truly bad Pokemon game. I think people are just complaining. And now here we are at The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. The Oracle of Ages was the one that I had as a kid. I never had Oracle of Seasons. I'm sure I must have played the game at some point just to experience it. Like I don't even remember if I truly did or did not. And if I did play, I really have no idea if I completed it, because there's certain things where I'm like, I don't remember that. Do I remember the Big Goron? No, I don't remember the Big Goron. I love the Big Goron. I think I would have remembered the Big Goron. I don't remember the Big Goron. But the kind of unique thing this playthrough, so whether or not I played it before doesn't matter. This was the first time I played a Link game of Oracle of Seasons. And that made it like extra more cool, extra special. There's a lot of like conversation about whether releasing 2 games so closely and developing them at the same time, like how much like benefit versus how much cost is there. When you're trying to make like twice the amount of levels, twice the amount of dungeons, are you like just starting to repeat ideas and stuff like that? Whatever. I don't know. All I know is playing this game as a Link game, it was really cool, man. It was really cool. I love video games. There should be an I love video games counter. I'm not going to put that up. Someone should count how many times I say I love video games. And it was really cool to play this game and see Princess Zelda and see Nehru they pop up every now and then. What this makes me really want to do, I really want to play Oracle of Ages as the Link game the second time around, just to see like what small differences do I see, what little things do I experience. It's just another excuse to play the Oracle games again and again and again and again. I could play them forever. I love these games, man. Like these, in my opinion, like when someone asks me what my favorite Zelda games are, like it's the Oracle games. These are my favorite games. Like this, the art style, the music, the stories. And I know when I play the first Legend of Zelda game, this game is going to be even more incredible to me. Like I already know, I kind of know a little bit about some of like the parallels or some of like the inspiration they got from the older games. I already kind of know. For me, like instead of that being a spoiler, that just makes it all the more exciting. Like, oh, now I have things to look forward to. Like spoilers aren't like inherently a super bad thing. In fact, they can be kind of like a motivating thing too, like a hype thing. All right, let's take a look at April games next. So this is where the script really goes off the rails. I'm reading off a script if you didn't know that. Whatever. This is not exactly a backlog video. I've watched a few people turn their video game backlogs into a project that they can complete or overcome. And if this was my intention on posting my video game progress throughout the year, this is the point where I'd say that I started to face some adversity. You know, part of the reason why I picked up some of the games on the list were because I had never played them in my childhood, and I wanted to make time for that now as an adult. But I disagree with calling those games a backlog. To me, a backlog implies some urgency to resolve an incomplete status. And I'm going to push back on that. There are a huge amount of incredible video games over the years, and even more amazing games are being produced every day. There's no way anyone can play them all, especially not me. I don't see any rush in it. Maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but I'd simply prefer to call it a library rather than a backlog. Of course, there are some games in my library that I haven't played yet. I might not ever play them, but they're ready for me to play anytime I want to check them out. So this month, when things got busy at work and I was exhausted every single day when I got home, I just didn't play that many video games. In fact, I definitely did not finish a single game in April. I played a couple of games with friends, mostly Stardew Valley, and that's all. And I'm fine with that. Why should I make playing video games less fun by forcing it? Instead, I got a new phone in April, and I'd just like to briefly mention the mobile games I typically play. Pokemon Go, Pokemon Sleep, Pikmin Bloom, and Bloons Tower Defense 6. Although that one is not as often as the other ones. The other ones I play daily. So, yeah. It's... I may not have added anything to the completion list, but I definitely added things to the games I'm playing or left incomplete. You know, this is such an arbitrary way to start splitting them up. I technically could have put Stardew Valley in the games I'm still playing, but since it's not really a game I played this year with the intention of trying to quote-unquote complete it this year, like I beat most of the story and most of the things that happen. Like I did a lot of the game. It's not really a game to beat in the first place. I don't know. It gets weird is all I'm saying. So many things get weird. And like the mobile games, when am I ever gonna truly beat Pokemon Go? Like when I got to level 50, sure, maybe if I did that this year, that would be in the games I completed. But arguably, is it when I complete all of the Pokedexes? Like maybe, but I don't think that's really gonna happen unless I start like paying some major money to go travel to all of these places, which I cannot afford to do. Anyway, so now you can see things are starting to get real busy. Really, really, really busy. I want you to imagine me like making this collage, putting them all together, and then just keep thinking about that, okay? Just keep thinking about it as we continue. All right, may we continue to the next month? All right, that was bad. In May, I once again did not complete a single game, but in a way, I sort of knew I wouldn't be as productive during this time of year, so I plan on doing some shining hunting in various Pokemon games instead. After all, the point of this project isn't to beat as many video games as I could. In fact, the biggest reason I made my goals in the first place is to make time for other games other than Pokemon, because I know I could put hundreds of hours into shiny hunting. You saw those numbers. Even when I'm completely out of energy. So during this month, I booted up Legends Arceus, Scarlet, and even Let's Go Pikachu. But my most impressive feat was finally catching a shiny Shaman on Brilliant Diamond. Hooray! Yeah, that sounded so like not excited. You know, that's gonna be most of our other games played. That shiny Shaman, I was up to like 10,000 encounters. I was like well over odds. I'd stopped playing Brilliant Diamond for like a long time, just because I wasn't getting it. When I first got the game, playing Briefcase Simulator, it was like that but worse. And then I want to do it for Arceus. God, what's wrong with me? part of me is like, man, I really should have opened up Pokemon Sword too, just for so you couldn't have every game be represented. Okay, June. It's time for June. How could this month possibly have been any different? First, let me say I buy a lot of video games. Sometimes I buy multiple copies. For example, I have bought both versions of each Pokemon game when they were released since Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Not only that, but I bought both games digitally and physically. I am essentially buying the same game 4 times. And I tend to buy each version of a game that I can. I have Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch physically and digitally. But I also have Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy Color. Oh, on top of that, I have the original Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. I'm going to keep that in. I don't care. I am a fan of physical media and owning your own games. But I also understand the convenience of digital media as well. In fact, I'm even a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber. I pay for the most expensive subscription. If Nintendo also added the ability to purchase those retro games a la carte like they used to with the Virtual Console, I'd do that on top of keeping my NSO subscription. I know I'm the problem, okay? But I specifically budget my earnings for this. So in April this year, the Delta emulator released for the App Store. And that was an incredibly cool thing everyone was talking about. If you asked me before this year how I felt about video game emulation, I wouldn't have had much to say. After all, I have a Nintendo Switch, a Nintendo 3DS, a Nintendo DS, and 2 Game Boy Advance SPs, including my childhood one. Between all of those devices, I can play every game I own with 2 exceptions. And most games I buy are for those platforms. However, the idea of being able to play all of your games without necessarily bringing your entire physical library with you is incredibly alluring. ROM dumpers have always existed, and while I have no objections to downloading ROMs being illegal, I think ripping ROMs from physical media you own should be unequivocally legal. Physical media gets lost or breaks all the time. I've lost so much gaming history to time. Imagine if I could have backed up all that data on my computer. We absolutely should be able to preserve video game history. And that should coexist with official offerings from companies like Nintendo with their Virtual Console or streaming on NSO. Anyway, all of that conversation about game emulators and retro video games had me revisiting my game collection. So in June, I played Tetris, Pokemon Pinball, Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, Harlem Globetrotters World Tour, Yu-Gi-Oh! Destiny Board Traveler, and Yoshi for the Game Boy. On top of that, my friends and I started playing World of Warcraft together as well. As someone who grew up playing RuneScape, I have a lot of thoughts about live service subscription-based games and how they can differ from games that get yearly releases. But that's a discussion for another day. So here's our new list where we added a billion games to the list. And here are the shiny Pokemon. You can see, another normal month. But the days of normal months are soon coming to an end. And additionally, I have Yoshi, except this time for the Game Boy. You can see it's mostly the same game. I kind of like how less busy this one is, just being black and white, and the checkered boards not being so like in your face. And like I said, I like this one really just being on the go. I love the NES version, but just having a portable version of anything. Usually I'm going to want the portable version, but I love this game. Alright, starting in July, things got a little weird. I had 3 trips planned this year, which is absolutely abnormal for me. And in July, I was in Texas for 10 days. Which means, ultimately, I didn't play very many games at all. But that doesn't mean I didn't play anything. My first game I spent a lot of time playing was Cookie Clicker. And yes, it started as a joke. My friends and I wanted to take a break from Stardew Valley, but didn't have many other options. Baldur's Gate 3 was glitched on one of my friend's computer. My laptop did not have enough space for World of Warcraft, and my laptop doesn't support V-Rising. So we joked about playing Cookie Clicker together, and then I just kept playing. I ended up playing a lot of Cookie Clicker while I was in Texas, and on top of that, getting to play Pokemon Go and Pikmin Bloom in cities you haven't already explored as your hometown is so much fun. They both added like an extra layer of an enjoyment to an already excellent trip. So here we are adding Cookie Clicker. Yeah. And, you know, Pokemon was starting to do a little bit more events. The events in Sword and Shield era, the like raid den events and stuff like that, I mean, partly because of the pandemic too, like ballooned up my hours. And I can tell you the events for Scarlet and Violet, same exact thing. Like the more events they have, the more hours I'm putting in trying to shiny hunt everything. Not only that, there was the this month there was the Pokemon Go Fest. You know, I put the screenshots up there so you can just look at everything all at once. I got literally 2 Shundos. I got the Pikachu and the Wooper. Like this isn't even the craziest month. This isn't the craziest month because you expect to catch a lot of Pokemon on Pokemon Go, right? Okay, finally. It's been a million years and I finally beat another game in August. This time around, it's The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for the Game Boy Advance. Truthfully, there aren't that many more of those left in the year. First, we're going to look at our list. You know, I added a game. You know, I added a game this month. But the Bit Bar, while my friends and I were visiting Salem, Massachusetts, we ended up at the Bit Bar arcade, and let me tell you, that place is amazing. At a certain point, I know some of us are getting kind of tired of the same retro games being released to us and sold to us again. But come on, I know I can play like 5 different versions of Pac-Man at any point, but it's still cool to be able to play on a Pac-Man arcade cabinet. I also got to play Galaga and Dig Dug and Pole Position and Mortal Kombat 2 and Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Pole Position in particular, I know I didn't get like a photo of that specific arcade cabinet by itself, but like I tried playing on the Switch at my mom's house with the Switch controllers, and it was fine. It was fun, but there's something about playing with the steering wheel on the arcade cabinet that, like, oh my god, it was I did way better on the arcade cabinet. And not only that, it turns out I love pinball. Like I didn't know that playing real pinball and not just video game pinball was so much fun. I tried to play the Simpsons pinball machine, but it wasn't working for some reason. So instead I played the Super Mario Bros. One, and oh my god. Like, my trip to Salem, Massachusetts was already a lot of fun. But, like, visiting this arcade bar, oh my god, that like, alone was worth the trip. Like, I would make the trip again just for this. I can't afford to make the trip again, but I would just for this. And here are the shinies. You know, and just keep in mind, I'm making every single one of these collages, just so you'll understand. You'll understand when we see it. Okay, this is not the crazy one yet. So the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This is kind of a weird game for me because I had the GBA version as a kid, the one that had the 4 swords on it, and man, I don't remember getting that game. I don't remember getting most games, honestly. Whatever. When I played this game as a kid, I did not like it as much. And part of it, I think, is because Minish Cap is like a more like polished game, right? Like it's very small, very contained. It's a newer game. It's intended to be the size that it is. This game, being an SNES game, like, was supposed to be like a bigger game, right? And you can tell improvements have been made to the Zelda franchise when you play Minish Cap versus A Link to the Past. Like this game, like, you know, I'm just trying to like remember why I didn't like it as much. Okay, don't be upset. This game is like, it felt clunkier to me as a kid, and really what that just tells me is it wasn't my time to play it. I think there are like some games, just like for books and movies and TV shows, or honestly, frankly, anything. There are some things where you really have to be like in the right state of mind or in your right moments in your life to engage with that thing. Me as a kid was not ready for A Link to the Past. In fact, me, an adult, was also not ready for A Link to the Past. When I tried playing it on the SNES, on the NSO, I'm just saying letters, I know. When I tried playing the original version on the Switch, I didn't get into it like as quickly as I thought I would. It just felt like I was playing a game I already didn't like. So when this game dropped for the NSO, the GBA version, the Game Boy Advance version, I don't know what like clicked. Something finally clicked. I started playing like more with purpose, really paying attention. And you know, I really do think screenshotting like everything really helped me like get hyped for a game, because I was taking a screenshot anytime I thought something looked cool, or anytime I thought something was silly, or I was amused by something. And so when I'm like looking for different things to be amused by, I think that went a long way in like helping me warm up to this game. Because by the time I beat this game, I was ready for this as an adult, like for real this time. Like the music, beautiful. The art, beautiful. Puzzles, beautiful. This game was so much fun. And you know, I'm glad that I gave it like multiple chances, because I can see how the game or the franchise really like refined itself and like evolved into the games that I grew up with. But once you start like giving this game like the chance it deserves by itself, not in relationship to anything else, then you can kind of see like the beauty of what's like available to you. And truly, this game is beautiful. This game is awesome. Part of me kind of wishes that the little kid that played, you know, the little kid version of me that played this game enjoyed this game back then too. But selfishly, I'm kind of glad that I waited until I was an adult so I can appreciate it for the first time, like truly as an adult. There were some points where I'm like, man, I kind of remember this. How far did I actually play? But getting to the end, I'm like, no, I know for sure I never beat this game as a kid. I know for sure I never beat it. And I'm not even sure if I don't know how far I got. I don't think I went very far at all. So that just made the adult version of me who played this like got to experience something like so special. Anyway, that's my rant. September marks the last of my 2024 trips. So, of course, I played through a bunch of The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. I played a lot of it on my flight to Seattle. And while I was there, I had a ton of fun playing Pokemon Go and Pikmin Bloom, just like last time, or the last two times. But I also made sure to visit all 3 Pink Gorilla locations to check out their retro video games. So let me let's look at the games I'm adding here really quickly before I talk about the Pink Gorilla. So first, when I got home from Seattle, I started playing the Plucky Squire, which I love. I did not finish. And The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, which also I did not finish. I didn't finish either one of those games. Truthfully, I had too much fun playing those games that I didn't want them to be over. Like September, by this point of the year, I had beat all of these games already. You know, look, that's a lot of games that I finished, right? And I couldn't help but to be like, this many months into this project, like, man, I really kind of want to play Night in the Woods again. Man, I really want to play Little Town Hero again. I wanted to play Giga Wrecker Alt. Like, I wanted to play all of these games that I already beat. And part of me was like longing for more time with them. And so in a weird, like, defensive way, with the Plucky Squire and Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, even A Link Between Worlds, like both of those games, I could have 100% finished those games this year. I could have finished them in September probably. But I just didn't want the fun to be over. Which I know is sort of antithetical to the whole project. Like, aren't I supposed to be aiming to finish the games? And it's like, well, yes, but no. It's about having fun. And maybe I can delay some of the fun. I don't know. Last but not least, I picked up Play Up to play with some friends. And if there is any game out there that makes me realize how I'm not a serious gamer, it's this one. I joked way too much. Like I was still helping my friends cook, but like I was having too much fun with that game. Like I don't know what to tell you. So the Pink Gorilla, I visited all 3 locations. This is like one of the coolest retro game stores out there. While I was there in Seattle, I bought Matchbox Crosstown Heroes and the World Destruction League Thunder Tanks. Honestly, just what a cool place. This was the only trip that I planned, the one to Seattle, where I actually had a budget. You know, this was my trip. The other ones I was invited to. This one was the one that I was going for a concert. And so because of that, I specifically planned to visit retro game shops. I didn't just happen to run into them. And so now I know the next time I plan a trip, which might not be in the near future at all. But the next time I plan a trip, I know 100% that I need to go visit every local retro game shop and every arcade, just because, oh my god, this part of the reason I love traveling. I love things. You ever get to the point where, you know, like, I just love things. And here are all of the shiny Pokemon this month. That's a lot. There was like 3 shiny Wooloo in Seattle. It was a lot. Yeah, and now we're on October, and it's getting to the end of the year. Kind of spooky. The 2 main things in October were the release of Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is an amazing game, and the release of Pokemon TCG Pocket, which is incredible. I love that game. Oh my god. It's actually a little fun to look at the Nintendo year in review. I have that later on. It's funny to look at it for this month because I played so many hours of Pokemon this month to shiny hunts for a little project that I'm not done with, that you almost wouldn't know that I was like super duper busy at work. But it is what it is. Like looking at this this review for the month, like I don't say just how much Pokemon I played, but it doesn't seem like I added a lot, but I really played a lot of Pokemon. There's like almost 100 screenshots in this month alone. This is what I was doing. Like I was so stressed at work. You know, I was coming back home and then just playing for like 5 hours straight, shiny hunting. I was looking for specific things, and I'll get to that another day. But wow, that's all I could really say, man. Just wow. Yet another Shundo. That's Shundo number 4 already, I think. It's been a crazy year. So, time for November. Aside from a ton of shiny hunts and TCG Pocket battles, the biggest accomplishment this month was beating Pokemon Violet with my nephew. Additionally, I also played Pac-Man on the Game Boy and Frogger on the Game Boy Color. So, you know, this is almost the final version. Okay, almost the final version. We're almost there. Not quite yet, but we're almost there. And you know, thank God this month was more normal. I know this is a lot of screenshots for me to call this normal, but last month was not normal. Pokemon Violet. So I know I already talked about the Epilogue DLC, like right at the beginning of the year, and normally I just play through like my second playthrough of games like really quickly. Like I've been waiting to beat the game because I really want Miraidon and a couple other Pokemon so I can complete the Pokédex on my Pokemon Home. Like not in the game. I mean in the Pokemon Home app. and I've just been too lazy to trade with friends to get that done really quickly. So I was like, you know what, I'll just wait until I play through the game. And finally, like this year, my nephew like started really getting into Pokemon. Like I tried playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee with him before this year when he was a little bit younger. And I was just trying to get him to battle, so it was like the most normal part of the game. We're fighting the Elite Four. We didn't finish battling a single trainer. It just wasn't as interesting to him. So I'm really glad this year he opened up and really, because first he saw me playing on Scarlet and he was like, oh, I want to play that. So he liked doing the raids and liked doing some stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy him Scarlet while I play through Violet, and just every time I go over, I visit, we'll play a little bit more of the game. And this game makes it so easy to be able to play with kids. Like I could just be like, all right, so what do you want to do next? Do you want to fight Team Star? Do you want to go beat another gym, or do you want to find another Titan to beat? And of course, he really enjoyed battling, I mean, the Titan, so we can unlock another power-up for Koraidon and Miraidon. We can like travel the map a little bit more freely. And it's funny because I also tried playing like Pokemon Gold with him a little bit, and that was like interesting to him in a completely other way, just because he just imagine you never grew up with those like pixel-based games. You don't, and you know, nothing else, like, and none of the other media you play, like if you play Fortnite like that, it's different, right? It's different. So there's something like magical about this game, like the freedom and like that it allows you to have while playing with your friends in multiplayer. We were able to play the whole game together like that, just connected through the Union Circle. So say whatever you want about Pokemon being easy or being made for newer generations of kids in mind, but this experience, like, it felt like a whole new way to play the game than it did when I played Scarlet by myself. It was so cool. It was like an incredible thing to do. My nephew did not, to be honest, he doesn't like how much the characters speak in the game, which I think is so funny because I know that Pokemon for me was super helpful in like getting really good at English. It's probably why I ended up being a teacher/writer type of person, right? Because of all the reading I did playing Pokemon. I don't know. People can say Pokemon sucks now, that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, they were terrible games, but I disagree. Like, personally, and also just from my experience playing through the games multiple times, this game is awesome. This generation has a lot to offer. And I think playing video games with a closed mind just makes it so that you never enjoy anything. I kind of like playing with no expectations. Just what happens is just what happens. And sure, sometimes I get disappointed, but honestly, and maybe I'm just lucky, or not very, what's the word, adventurous, but I tend to play games that I like in the first place. So if you are finding yourself being like, you know, I don't enjoy Pokemon games, I haven't enjoyed anything in a long time, maybe you just don't enjoy Pokemon anymore, and that's the end of that, you know? Alright. It's December. So what games have I been playing? Well, for the most part, I actually haven't really been playing too many games in December at all. Like, as soon as I hit December and all of like the family time, and I did a lot of baking, right? So I really wasn't thinking about my Switch much. I wasn't thinking about playing games much. And that's what having these Game Boy and Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games so convenient, makes it like so wonderful, is I could really like sit down and just play Paperboy, or play Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man, or play Galaga, or play Dig Dug. It was just like right there available to me, super easy to play. Like as portable as the Switch is, I don't know, it's different than the portability of like the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance SP. It's different, right? Not only that, but I got to play Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, played through all the main levels. So I can go ahead and add one more thing before we take a look at the regular, like, final chart. This is my Nintendo year in review. I may not have beat the game, but of course the Plucky Squire is my favorite game of the year. I made it into my top 10s list. I don't know where it's going to land on that top 10s list, but it's on there. I already know. Looking at that hours played by month, it's so fun. It's kind of what I thought it was going to be, you know? June and July, I definitely played more not on the Switch. I played like on my 3DS or, you know, in other things. The October it's kind of surprising. So think back to all of those screenshots. I really was so busy at work. But I think where in like March or even April, where I was so busy that I didn't want to play anything, I feel like the opposite happened. I was so busy that I just needed to do something else. And it's so funny how it so easily translates. Like I might not have been playing very many new games, but I was still playing a lot. And just the Nintendo alone, the Nintendo Switch alone, seeing 41 total games at 627 hours. I'm kind of glad that Steam is not being counted. I'm not even going to put the Steam replay on here, like, because it's just Cookie Clicker and Bloons Tower Defense 6. Like, that's it. And that one thing that happened in December, they made Cookie Clicker compatible with my MacBook Pro. So on the Steam version, before I could only play on PC, but I don't have a PC at the moment. I have the MacBook Pro. So I've been playing again, and I just like literally 2 days ago started achievement hunting on Steam. So I'm like starting again. Oh my god, it's so much. But it's a good thing those Steam hours aren't being counted, because that's like 100 hours of just Cookie Clicker in the background. So it's been nice to end the year with the games that I ended up with. I did that really quick Shiny Rayquaza raid, but other than that, I got some cool things on the TCG Pocket app, but not too many shinies. I wasn't playing for shinies. Revisiting Super Mario Bros. Deluxe was actually kind of like a nice way to end. I had this game as a kid. This is the game that made me think, like, I may not have had like the Super Mario Bros. Game in the first place as a kid, but I had the deluxe version. It feels like I lucked out on having been able to play so many classic games, because they were re-released on all of the Game Boy Color, Game Boy era systems, consoles, whatever. And this is one of them. This game is awesome. I did technically, I played it on the NSO like sometime in the beginning of the year. I don't even know when that was. I was playing it at my mom's house, and she was just like watching me like abuse that rewind system over and over and over again, just because I was so bad at it. Like I'm so bad at video games. But this time around, when I played the Game Boy Color version, because I bought it to replace the one I had as a kid, and I have no idea where that is. The second time around, I did way better. I still got stuck. I still died a lot, but I did way better the second time around, and it makes me like really think, like, there are a ton of games that I played this year where I'm like, I want to be able to try to beat that game without dying, or not even without dying, but like with the amount of lives that they allot to me in the beginning. Could I make it with my 5 lives, for example? I don't think so. Maybe if I practice a lot, maybe. But I still think it holds up, particularly because you can like race Boo on some of the levels. That's like a really cool mechanic. Honestly, beautiful way to end the year. So this is my year, essentially, in gaming. That's a lot of video games. That's the 30 games that I'm still playing, 20 games that I beat, and 6 other games. It's thinking back to my initial list of gaming goals from the very beginning of the video. I did, in fact, finish Pokémon Sun. That was a big milestone for me, I think. For my childhood Charizard to collect all of the remaining ribbons, I still have one more. I put it to rest. I was getting so frustrated just how often I was losing. I might skip that final badge from the battle tree, but instead of skipping, I just decided to give it a rest for a little bit and come back to it some other time. So that's going to be something I'm going to be trying to do in 2025. If not, no matter what, in 2025, that Charizard is going to be on the Switch. I did not work on my Living Dex project very much this year at all, just because I was trying to play a bunch of new games, but maybe that's another thing to revisit. When it comes to the Zelda games, I did finish my initial... I finished Oracle of Seasons, I finished Minish Cap. In fact, I added another one, A Link to the Past. So I've been doing pretty good with the Zelda games. I think what I'm gonna need to do for my project for next year, I need to continue playing A Link Between Worlds and Echoes of Wisdom. After that, I can look at those NSO games, the 3D Zeldas from those older consoles, before I can finally play Breath of the Wild, which I have not played yet. Maybe Zelda and Zelda 2 are going to be happening next year. I'm not sure. In terms of the other games, I for sure played Night in the Woods, Mendel Palace, Pulseman, Little Town Hero, my initial ones. I didn't finish Tunic. It didn't feel like the right time to play. Just like for Earthbound and Monster Crown, those are games I really, really want to play. But it just was not in the cards this year. So maybe those games will be on the list again for next year. When I think about how much of the goals I accomplished, I feel like I did like a solid... I think I give myself a B+ for the year. I did a pretty good job. I didn't do everything I wanted to do. And there were times where I kind of stressed myself out with the amount of games I was playing or not playing. But I did a pretty good job at just thinking, am I having fun right now? And if I was not having fun, I could just stop playing or do something else. When it comes to just having fun, I did a pretty good job at letting fun be my main motivation. I did kind of question the months where I wasn't beating games, but at the end of the day, I do think fun won. And what was it like to document the whole process? I know it's not as cool to like have a diary of just the games you've been playing. And you know, this is just a rant video. I don't expect anyone to watch this video. This video is for me to watch again when I'm old and I want to think like, what did I do that year? You know, I didn't write it about my job or my family really, or like relationships or anything like that, which there's a lot of stuff happening in those areas of my life too. But when it comes to video games, video games have always been there for me. So there are times where I wish I had like some kind of documentation of what video games were like as a kid, but all I really have are my memories. And if this super duper long video of me just talking about the games I played this year will help me remember just a little bit more, then I actually think it was a very good use of my time. And I don't know if I'm going to do a thing like this every single year. I just know for this year, for what I'm doing right now, for how I feel at this specific moment, I'm really glad to have been documenting everything. I can look through my screenshots for almost every single game and then be like, wow. So that's what I was doing in that game. Those were the memories I was making that year. Those were the cool stories I experienced. Like this year, I watched a bunch of movies with a friend. But as much as I like watching movies, video games are my favorite thing in the world. So I don't need to do a project like this for everything. I can do it for the thing that I care about. So anyway, that's been this video. See ya.